So welcome to today's AZTurboCourt training. My name is Stephen Kimmelman with Intrasys. We are the makers of AZTurboCourt. And in today's training webinar, we're going to be focusing on filing into the Maricopa Superior Court for general civil filings. This is e-filing training. And specifically, the focus is on case initiation, which is now new in Maricopa Superior Court. So that's exciting. So that's what the first half or more of this training is focusing on, case initiating general civil filings in Maricopa Superior Court. And oh, I see somebody clicked raise hand. So there's no way for us to actually interact with the raise hand button. So if you would please click on the Q&A button, the ability to, the button that allows you to ask a question, and then just type in your question, and then I'll respond accordingly. So case initiation, Maricopa Superior Court. I'll also briefly cover managing your profile, your AZTurboCourt profile, and making sure that your firm is set up with an AZTurboCourt account. We'll cover that very briefly at the beginning. Once we cover initiating filings, we'll move on to subsequent filings, basically filing into an existing case. So for those of you that have already been using AZTurboCourt for a while in other jurisdictions, and you're here primarily for case initiation in Maricopa Superior Court, like I said, I'll be covering that first, and then I'll be moving into other functionality that if you're a regular user of AZTurboCourt, you probably will already know. Okay, just to give you a sense of the timing. I'll move into subsequent filings, filing into an existing case, and cover that at least partially, and also talk about and show you some of the differences between the counties, because the counties do conduct their business differently. So when you're filing in Maricopa versus when you're filing in Pima versus when you're filing in any of the other counties, they do things a little differently. So I'm going to be talking about that, showing you a little bit about that. And then I'll also cover about how to search for all of your filings, manage your workload. A great tip that I'll walk you through is how to take any of your existing filings to create new filings, which will speed up the time of creating filings for you. That's great functionality. And then closing it up with financials, how to access all of your payment financial information for a particular case, for a particular client, how to get reports, things like that. Okay, so there you go. Those are our topics for today's training. I'm going to go straight through. I'm not going to take a break, barring an emergency. And so, like I said, it's being recorded. If you have to step away from your desk for a few moments, it's okay. You'll get the recording tomorrow. And again, for those of you that have just joined on, if you have questions, you'll want to click on the Zoom Q&A button, and that will allow you to submit a question. Now, I'm going to also, just for a moment, I've turned chat off, but just for a moment, I'm going to turn chat on. And just in case the Q&A button isn't working for you, send me a chat, and so that I can see that that's happening. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. So first and foremost, your firm needs to have an AZTurboCourt account in order to do e-filing through AZTurboCourt for Arizona courts. And, oh, okay, so there's a few folks that are saying they're not seeing a Q&A button. Lots of folks saying they don't see a Q&A button. Okay, I get it. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Women and men, of course. All right, so in that situation, I'm going to leave chat open. Please realize that chat can be super distracting. So if you have an important question, please do ask it through the chat. Or if you want to hold the question until later, you can do that. But I do want to be able to answer your questions. I don't know why the Q&A or question button isn't showing up, but you're saying it isn't, so we'll go with that. I'll leave chat open. And then, like I said, if you have a question, use chat and I'll see it there. And thanks very much for your responses. Okay, so your firm needs an AZTurboCourt account. For those of you who don't currently have an AZTurboCourt account for yourself or for your firm, you need to set one up. It's a very simple process. It's free. It takes about 5 minutes or less. And then whoever sets up that account effectively becomes the administrator at least temporarily, for that account, and they can then add other users. So if you've got other attorneys and legal assistants and so forth, they can add those folks. Different people can have those administrative roles. So it's not a problem if the person who initially sets up the firm's account isn't actually going to be the administrator. If you're in that situation where you actually have to create your firm's TurboCourt account, then couple of options. One is you can simply email me, and I will send you a link to the previous administrator training recording. In fact, I'm going to just go ahead and type my email in here right now so you can see it. So StephenK@turbocourt.com. So that would be one way. You can just email me, let me know you need a link to the administrator training recording, and I can send that to you later today. The other way you can do this, and you don't have to wait for me to respond to your email, is go to our help and support area. So click on this help button you see here in the upper right-hand corner. This brings us to help and support, and you'll see training. Click on training. And specifically for AZTurboCourt, we have a number of things. And if you scroll on down, you'll see the Administrator Training Masterclass. And you'll see here, it says, click here to watch the recording of the previous administrator training. So that's the one that I would be sending you. So if you just clicked on that, it'll immediately bring up the training. You can watch it, like stream it if you like, or you can simply download it to your computer and watch it at your convenience, okay? And that's the administrator training, that's gonna walk you through everything you need to know about setting up your AZTurboCourt account, adding users, managing users. There's 3 different administrative roles in AZTurboCourt. There's a company administrator, there's a filing administrator, and there's a financial administrator. So it's gonna walk you through all of those roles, okay? So if you're needing to set up your firm's account with TurboCourt, that's how you do that. And do note, by the way, that your firm, when your firm's account is set up, Arizona requires that there's a mailing address incorporated into your firm's profile. Okay, so just that's actually something new with Arizona. Okay, so assuming that you are not in that role where you either are needing to set up your firm's account or you're not going to be the person who does that, then once your account has been set up for you, once you're added basically as a user, you'll receive an email from the system. It's going to include a link that will bring you here. It'll include your username, which is essentially going to be your email address. And then for security purposes, the password that is initially set up for you by the administrator, that's not going to be included in that same email. So the administrator is going to have to give you your AZTurboCourt password separately, okay? Then you're going to log in, and once you're logged in, then you can change your password and do everything else you need to do, all right? So let me just walk you through that, and then we'll quickly move on to initiating filings. One other thing that I just want to point out to all of you is the fastest and most direct way to get support for AZTurboCourt. So whether that's tech support, or if you've got questions about requirements, filing into, Maricopa or any of the other courts, anything, basically anything related to AZTurboCourt, the fastest and most direct way to get support is, once again, click on Help. And in our support area, click on Contact Us. And you'll see we have an area dedicated just for the Arizona court filings. And right here, this is the most direct way to get support. You have a phone number. So if you were to reach out to us, to Intrasys, to AZTurboCourt, with a support question, in all likelihood, you'll wind up getting redirected to this phone number, because these are the folks that actually handle all of the support, okay? You also have the ability to send an email, but my recommendation would be just to call them, okay? So once again, that's Help and Contact Us, okay? And if you're wanting to submit a help request directly to us, you can do that. We've got a submit help request right here, and you can just fill this out, okay? All right, so let's imagine that I was just added as a user to my firm's AZTurboCourt account. I was notified, they gave me my password, and I'm ready to log in for the very first time. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. put in the password that they provided me. And I'm logging in. Okay, I've successfully logged in. You'll see on the left-hand side, there's a user menu. There's a number of things here that I'll be pointing out and going through in today's training, at least partially. But as you can see, there's a lot that you can do here. Very first thing you're going to want to do is go to your profile. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. You'll see this profile button here in the upper right-hand corner. You'll also see in your user menu a link called My Profile. So either of those will take you to your profile. I'll click on this My Profile link, and here I am. I see that we've been set up, our account with AZTurboCourt is set up as an attorney/law firm. My access level is as a user. So everybody that's registered with TurboCourt is given the access level of a user. This means that I can manage my own profile. It also means that I can create and submit filings and manage those filings. Now, if you were also given one of the administrative roles that I mentioned, company administrator, filing administrator, financial administrator, and just so you know, you can have any number of administrators within your firm. You could have multiple company administrators, multiple filing administrators, that's allowed. So if you see here that you've also been given administrative access, then again, you're going to want to take a look at the administrator training and jump to that section for that, for that particular administrative role, so you can learn what you can do and how you do it. All right. If you want to update your profile, you're doing that right here. Standard functionality, if the field has an asterisk, it's required. Okay. If you are an attorney and you're going to be filing in Arizona through AZTurboCourt, you are definitely going to want to put in your bar number, your Arizona bar number here. Okay. The reason being is that when you are creating filings, the court is going to ask you for your bar number. So rather than having to enter it in each and every time, by having it here in your profile, we'll simply pull it from your profile and automatically enter it into whatever questions the court is asking of you, right? So you want to put that here. Your security question, this is optional. There's no asterisk, but it is recommended. By putting in a security question and answer, again, standard functionality, it's going to allow you to automatically recover your password and not have to, reach out to an administrator if you forget your password. So just select one of the few security questions here and then provide whatever response you'd like. Okay, any changes you make to your profile, just scroll on down to the bottom and click update. And then there we go, it's all there. Now I want to show you a couple of other things in your profile very quickly, so I'm going to go back there. This time I'll click on the profile button. So here we are again. You'll notice you can request a new password. You can do this at any time. So to do so, you simply click on the right facing arrow. I'll do that right now. And it tells you that you've been emailed instructions. So just open up that email, click on the link in there, and it'll allow you to quickly and securely change your password. Okay? So that's for changing your password. And lastly, let's go back to the profile one more time. I want to show you these other two tabs, email preferences and SMS text notifications. So a little bit of background. When you submit filings through AZTurboCourt, you will receive automatic notifications coming back to you from the court, and they will come to you through AZTurboCourt. So for example, when you first submit your filing, you're immediately going to get a message from the court that says, thanks for submitting your filing. You'll be notified when it's been processed and whatever other information they put in there. Now, the reason that's particularly helpful is because that's the confirmation that they actually successfully received your filing, right? That there was no technical issues with what you submitted, okay? And so that's an important one. And then later on, when they process it, let's say, and they accept that filing, you'll get a message, for your particular filing, it's been accepted, here's your new case number, for example, if it's case initiation, right? And again, additional information. So you're going to just be getting these automated messages. They're really status updates as to what's going on with your filings. And those status updates, those messages, and I use these terms synonymously. So you'll hear me say messages or notifications or status updates. Those are all really one and the same thing, okay? So when those are being sent to you, you can access them anytime you're logged in to TurboCourt. Okay, so you'll see here, for example, in your user menu, there's a messages link, and that would allow me to see any of those messages, any of those notifications. There's other places within AZTurboCourt that you'll also see these updates, these status updates. But you also have the option of receiving these status updates via email, and that's what the email preferences tab is all about. Arizona has asked us to set this to have you receive email notifications by default, right? So it's already preset for you. But let me just show you your three options here. So the first two are, yes, I want to receive email notification. The only distinction being if there's details in the body of the email or not, or if it's simply a link to the filing. Okay, so that's what the first two are. The third option is no, I don't want to receive any emails at all. I'm going to just log in regularly to AZTurboCourt, and I'll check on the status of my filings. And that's okay. You can do that. Lord knows we don't need any more email in our inboxes. However, like I said, by default, Arizona has it set that you will receive email notifications, because there are other important notifications that you may receive from the court regarding this case. And rather than waiting to the next time you log in, it's helpful to be proactively notified. So the other thing, I see there's a question, so I'll get to that in just a moment. Thanks. I want to bring your attention here to these checkboxes. These are all of the possible situations where an email may be sent to you. Okay, now I say possible because it really depends on the nature of the filing, the case type, the jurisdiction you're filing into. They don't all trigger emails for each situation. But as I look at this list of possible situations, there are a couple here that really jump out at me. Let's imagine it's the end of the day on Friday. I electronically submit my filing. It's an important one. I shut down my computer. I'm done for the weekend, and that's that. And I'm not getting back on until Monday or Tuesday or whenever I get back to the office. If an error occurred, I want to be notified immediately. I don't want to find out on Monday afternoon that, oh my God, that filing didn't go through, right? I want to know now so that I can tend to it as soon as possible. Right, so that would be one situation where, yeah, I want to be proactively notified by email that something didn't go right. Or if in the rare instance where the court rejects your filing, again, yeah, I want to be notified right away that that happened. Right, so just think about it. Obviously, you can choose whatever you'd like, no emails or emails, but whatever you decide, you can always come back to your profile and update it at any time and change your settings. Okay, and then of course, just click update. Similarly, you have the text notification option. If you want to receive notification by text, you can do that. Simply provide your mobile number. And if you've done this elsewhere, like in banking, it's the same process. Basically, you provide your mobile number, submit that. We will automatically send you a code that you'll receive by text. You'll see a new field here to enter your code. You enter the code, we validate it, and there you go. From that point forward, you receive text notifications. If you decide to turn on your text notifications, then a couple of other things happen. One is a checkbox will appear that will allow you to suspend text notifications, to pause them. Let's say you're going on vacation for a week or two and you don't want to receive those notifications. So just check the box until you return from vacation, and then you can uncheck it. Okay, so that makes it nice and simple. Or let's say you put in your number for text notifications, and at a certain point you decide, yeah, you know what, I really don't want any more text notifications. Just come back to the screen and delete your phone number. Okay, and then you won't get them anymore. So there you go. That's email preferences, text notifications, and again, you can update these at any time. So let me just take a quick look at that question. I'm assuming it's pertaining to what I was just talking about. Second email option checked, and I never received a link to the website with the email. Interesting. I will run that by the tech support folks and see if they've changed. Maybe they've removed the links. They used to have them, but I'll look into that. Thanks for that. Is there a way to select text just for errors and not the others? I don't know. Another great question. Thanks for that. I will also inquire about that, and I will respond to that answer. To that question. Just so you know, when for any of the questions that come today, and I don't have an immediate answer to provide to you, and I need to check in with some other folks, such as these two questions, then what's going to happen is that I'm going to do my best to get these questions answered like immediately after the training, so that in tomorrow's automated email that will be sent to you with a link to today's training, I'll insert the answers to the questions, right? So that everybody gets them, rather than just the one person who asked that question. Okay, so just so you know how that works, I'm going to do my best to, to reach out to the tech folks and so forth. Okay, so there you go. Let's return to home. And so in quick summary, we just talked about how to set up your firm's AZTurboCourt account, get the administrator training, how to log in, how to go to your profile and edit it, change your username. Well, actually, you don't change your username because that's your email address, but change your password, your security question and answer for automatic password recovery, also how to manage your email and text notification preferences. Let's start filing, shall we? All right, so we're going to initiate a filing in Maricopa Superior Court electronically, finally, yay. I've been waiting for this for a long time. You probably have been too. All right, so I'm going to log in as a different user for this. I'm going to log in as somebody who actually has been, at least in our test environment, has been creating lots of filings and doing all sorts of things in AZTurboCourt, so that I can show you additional functionality. All right, so I've logged in as a woman named Karina. She works at a firm. She's an attorney, or maybe she's a legal assistant, I don't know, but she's creating filings. And what you'll notice is there are some things on her homepage that we did not see when I logged in as a brand new user. First thing you're going to notice is this table. We show you your 5 most recent filings, or what we call form sets. And again, these are synonymous terms. So a filing and a form set in the world of AZTurboCourt are the same thing. Essentially, it's a unique set of documents that are going to be submitted as a packet to the court, right? So we call that a form set. We give it a unique number, but it's also a filing. Okay, so we're showing you the 5 most recent filings you've been working on. These are the ones you're probably most actively working on. So rather than you going to have to find the filings that you're working on, we're going to show you the 5 most recent. In all likelihood, you're going to need to work on them some more until they're submitted to the court. So to look at or work on any of these particular filings, just go ahead and click on their unique form set number, and it'll take you right into them. Okay, so there you go. That's that. You'll see there may be different case types, different statuses. I'll talk about that in a bit. The other thing you're going to see here are 1 or 2 indicators that you have some messages coming to you. This first one is the status updates. Okay, these again, messages, notifications, status updates. Whatever this number is indicates the number of unread messages. Now, it's actually fine that I have a large number here. Like, you're not actually required to read that message and then mark it that you read it, right? There's certain things like, yeah, I get it. I see that you've accepted my filing. I see the case number. I don't need to actually read the message. Okay, so it's fine if you wind up having a large number here, not a problem. If you want to, you can click on that number and it'll take you to all of those messages, or you can go into the filing, each individual filing, and you'll see the messages for that specific filing, right, as to what's going on. So this is just a helpful indicator that you've got new messages coming in. This second indicator has to do with e-service. AZTurboCourt has a very robust implementation of e-service, which is now allowed in Arizona court filings in the general civil. And it's fantastic, by the way. I highly recommend you check it out. What's happening here is that I've been e-served by somebody else, right? So now I've been e-served 3 times. So rather than them serving me via traditional paper, they've electronically served me through AZTurboCourt, 3 separate filings. Now, they may be 3 filings on the same case. They may be 3 separate cases. I don't know yet. But if I were to click on that number, I would see the case. I'd see who e-served me, and I'd see immediately the actual documents that they served me. Okay, so just if you see that, that's what that's all about. All right, let's begin initiating in General Civil in Maricopa. First and foremost, if you don't see Arizona here, go ahead and click on the link and navigate to Arizona. Once you're in Arizona, you'll see whatever case types are currently available through AZTurboCourt, and we're going to click on General Civil. And it's going to ask you where you want to file. All right, so you've got the various superior courts. So I'm going to select Maricopa. By default, the location automatically pre-selects for me Superior Court. So there's nothing else for me to select there. I'll just click Next. However, certain counties, certain Superior Courts are a little different. So for example, if I'm filing into Yavapai, they actually have multiple locations. I need to indicate which one I'm going to be filing into. But with Maricopa, it simply defaults to Superior Court. I'll click Next. And first question, what are you doing? Why are you here? I'm here to initiate a case, start a new case, or I'm filing into an existing case. So for this scenario, I'm going to be indicating that I'm starting a new case. And I click Next. And that's going to bring me into the introduction, into the welcome. The way this works, very simple. You're going to answer whatever questions are presented to you on the screen. AZTurboCourt knows exactly which questions the court needs to be asked. It knows which questions are not going to be relevant to your situation based on the way you're responding to those questions. And then at the end of that process, we're going to do several things. And we're going to generate forms for you. We're going to calculate the fees right to the penny. We're going to have placeholders for you to attach the documents that you need to attach so that you can then submit what I like to call a clean filing. And when I say a clean filing, it means a better likelihood that there's not a reason for it to be rejected or for it to be delayed, in processing. AZTurboCourt has gone to great pains to model each jurisdiction's specific requirements. And so you'll see some differences when I'm filing in Maricopa versus Pima versus the other counties. Sometimes there's subtle differences, sometimes they're more significant. But the general rule of thumb, and you're going to hear me say this more than once, is just follow along with what's presented to you on screen for that jurisdiction, and you should be fine, okay? We can't, of course, guarantee that they won't find a reason to reject the filing, because we have no idea what you're submitting, of course. But in terms of technical requirements and things like that, we've gone to a lot of effort to make sure that we create clean filings for you folks so that they can be expedited quickly. You'll notice here, and on the previous couple of pages, this link was there as well, the AZTurboCourt General Civil Quick Guide. I highly, highly recommend that you grab a copy of this and not only grab a copy of it, download it to your computer, but even print it out. I'm just going to navigate over there for a second just to show this to you. There are 3 different approaches in Arizona in the Superior Court for general civil filings. 3 different ways of doing business, if you will. Like I said, sometimes they're subtle distinctions, sometimes they're more significant. And so what we've done is we've created this quick guide for you to really help you see when I'm filing in Maricopa versus Pima versus what I call all other counties. So that's the 3rd approach, what those differences are. And so you'll see we've got just general filing information. For example, when you're filing into one of the other counties, so a county that's not Pima or Maricopa, maximum document size for some reason is 9.5 megabytes, not 10 megabytes. You're going to want to know that sort of thing, right? And then as we go on down here, there's a section specifically for when I'm case initiating, right? What I can do and can't do in Maricopa versus Pima versus the all other counties. And then I'll just scroll down and we do the same thing when I'm filing into an existing case, how these things work. Okay, so this is our quick guide. Let me make that a little smaller. And so you'll see several places in AZTurboCourt where you can access that. Like I said, I highly recommend you grab it and print it out. Let's see, one other question that just popped up here. When you're e-served, is an email sent notifying you? Let's see what happens with e-service. I get the notification within AZTurboCourt. Yes, you are. You are sent an email notifying you of e-service, and there is a link that will take you directly to the documents that were e-served. There's actually an e-service training that we did previously as part of a larger training that I'm not going to be covering in today's training regarding e-service. But actually, let me just very quickly show you. For those of you that wanted to try out e-service, and like I said, I really recommend it. It is super efficient. So once again, go to Help and to Training. Okay, and for this one, you're going to see Subsequent Filings and e-service. Okay, so we previously did a training that covered e-service in great detail. And if you click here to access that previous filing that includes e-service, you can go to that particular training, and it's a long training, 2¼ hours. But what you can do is you can go right to, it is, let me just make sure where I put that. I believe it's the 1 hour and 7 minute mark. Yeah, 1 hour and 9 minute mark. So just go to the 1 hour and 9 minute mark, and that's where the e-service training begins, okay? And it will walk you through everything you need to know about e-service in Arizona, and specifically through AZTurboCourt, for you to e-serve, when you are being e-served, what to do, how to work with that, okay? So again, just go to Help, go to Training, grab the Subsequent Filing and e-service training, which is the one I'm looking at right now. Go to the 1 hour and 9 minute mark, and you'll get everything you need right there, okay? Go back to where I was. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm in Arizona. I'm filing in Maricopa. I said that I want to initiate a case, and as I said, we're just going to walk you through a series of questions. Sometimes we call it a questionnaire. Sometimes we call it an interview. It's all the same. And this is specifically the questions that the courts are asking us to ask of you. Now, when you're initiating a case, they need more information than when you're simply filing into an existing case. Because when you're filing into an existing case, the court already has the details they need. They know who the attorneys are, or many of the attorneys, and they knew the parties. They know the details of what the case is about, right? But when you're initiating a case, they don't have that information. So that's what these questions are. And what we've done through AZTurboCourt is set it up in such a way that we try to get you through it as quickly as possible. And again, creating a clean interview, if you will, and set of documents so that it alleviates the likelihood of the court having to reject that filing. So basically, you're just going to click the next button, and it's going to walk you through this process. And one of the things that's going to happen as a result, I mentioned, is that AZTurboCourt is actually going to generate documents for you. Okay, so for example, when you're initiating a case, AZTurboCourt is going to generate the civil cover sheet for you. So you don't need to create that. It's going to generate the summonses for you. Whether you've got 1 defendant or 20, all the summonses are going to be generated for you. When you are initiating in Maricopa, one of the required documents is a certificate of compulsory arbitration. We're going to generate that for you. It'll be digitally signed so that you don't submit an initiating filing without that document, which again might lead to a delay in processing or potentially even a rejection, right? So we're going to make sure those documents are included, and we're actually going to create them for you. There may be other documents that we automatically create as well, again, depending on the nature of your filing. So when, well, rather than watching me type, which is not any fun, let me go ahead and load an interview. that I've already created so that we can very quickly walk through and initiating filing in Maricopa. There we go, starting a new case. I click next. So, number of attorneys. You can list up to 10. 1 is quite common, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I click next. By the way, every time I click next, it automatically saves whatever I did on that page. Okay, so you can click this save button anytime you want, but as soon as you click next, it's automatically saved. And you can come back at any time and continue from anywhere because this is web-based, right? You can start at the office and continue it from home or vice versa, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, so for attorney number 1, it's going to pre-populate with all of my information from the profile. So I didn't actually type any of this. It was all pre-populated for me, which again is why you want to put your bar number in your profile. Okay. Now you will notice that it's showing me our firm's mailing address. Now where did that come from? Because I didn't see that in my profile. Well, it's not. It's actually part of the company's profile, your firm's profile, which, as I mentioned earlier, the administrator, the company administrator, is responsible for making sure there's a mailing address in your firm's profile. And that's where this is coming from, along with the actual name of your firm. Okay, so the company administrator, whoever's in that role, and again, it could even be more than one person in that role, but whoever's a company administrator, they maintain this information. So on this page, the only question I have to answer is this yes/no question. Is that my current mailing address? If it is, great, there's nothing more to do. I click yes and I move on. If it's not, if I have a separate office mailing address, and that's okay, then I'll say no, and then I'll just go ahead and provide whatever my address is. Okay? So I'm going to say no, yeah, that's my address, that's fine. I click next, and it just automatically brings me into the next section asking me about the plaintiffs. Then we're going to ask about the defendants, and then finally, what is this case about? Okay, so I'm just clicking next, answering a couple of questions and clicking next. For the number of plaintiffs, you can list up to 50. I've listed 2 just to make it a little more interesting than 1. I'm clicking next, and for each plaintiff, the only thing I need to provide is their type and their name. That's it. So in Arizona General Civil, the choices are business, organization, agency, or individual. Please do note that if they are a DBA, you should still list them as an individual. You'll then be able to provide their DBA on the next screen. Also, if they're an individual, you need to indicate whether or not they're a minor, or if they've been designated as an incompetent adult, or if they're just a regular adult individual. Okay? So if, for example, I were to say, no, this is a minor, and I click next, then in addition to providing the name of that plaintiff, I also now need to provide information about the parent or guardian, what the relationship is, and so forth, right? So this is all plaintiff number 1 and their information. But let me just go back for a moment and say, no, it's just a regular adult. Then the only thing I'm providing is first and last name. Now you're going to see lots of other fields here. They're all optional, right? I don't need to provide any of this, so I'm going to skip it. Court says they don't need it. I'm going to save myself the time. I'm not going to provide it. If they happen to be a DBA, this is where you would do it. And if you select this, then this field conditionally becomes required, which is why you see the asterisk here in gray. That means it's a conditionally required field. If this is empty, it's not required. If I put something here, then the court says, okay, you need to give us what their DBA name is, or maybe they're an AKA, right? So there's that. There's a question about Doe's, John and Jane Doe's. That's actually a question for the clerk. I would ask the clerk, because I can't actually give any sort of legal guidance. So I would actually just reach out to the clerks and say, when we're initiating a case, do you want us to list John and or Jane Doe as one of the plaintiffs, or defendants for that matter, right? And I think I know the answer, but I'm not allowed to provide legal advice. So there you go. Right, so their type and just their first and last name. Then I click next. Second plaintiff in this situation, I'm saying they're a business. And so instead of a first and last name, it's just the name of the business, Gleason Enterprises, doing business as Gleason Construction. And again, everything else I can skip. So I click next. And now it just takes me automatically into the next section. Tell us about the defendants. Okay. And you go through the same process, their type and their name. So let me just walk you through this. I selected two, again, to keep it more interesting. First defendant is a business. The Anderson Corporation, doing business as Anderson Electrical. And for defendants, the address question is required. However, I can say unknown, and then I'm done. But if you do know the address, then you'll get a follow-up page. Okay, tell us the address, or at least these three fields. Okay. So there you go. Defendant 1 is at 45 Main Street. Defendant number 2, listing them as an individual, regular adult. Name is Mark Anderson. Again, address question. Yes, I know it. Now, if you've got multiple parties here and they happen to share an address, you simply can select the previously entered addresses. This will, again, save you time. It'll also preclude the possibility of you mistyping the address the next time you type it. You know, if I transpose these numbers and I said it's 54 Main Street, well, now the question is, okay, are they really down the street from one another, or is that a typo, right? So just select it and you don't have to worry about that. If they're at a different address, then you simply say specified below and provide that unique address here. Okay. So there's a question, if you enter the client's email address under the plaintiff information, will they be notified of the filing? To my knowledge, they will not be. But let me just, that'll be another question that I'll pose to the designers. I'm not aware that that's what happens, but again, some of this functionality is evolving and changing. And so there's always that possibility that they've now added that as something that happens. So I'll find out. And thanks for that question. Okay, so defendant number 2, same address. I click next, and it just automatically brings me into the very last section, which is, okay, what is this case about? Okay, so first and foremost, are you seeking any emergency orders? Let me just uncheck those two for now. These are your choices. All right, I'm saying, no, I don't need any emergency orders. And so there's really nothing else to do. And I'll click next. And Arizona in civil used to use a complex case designation. They've changed now per this new rule, or relatively new rule 26.2, to a discovery tier level. Okay, so here are your 3 tiers. Tier 1, simple cases tried in 1 or 2 days, 50,000 or less in damages. Tier 2, immediate complexity between 50,000, or I should say more than 50,000 and less than 300,000. And then Tier 3, logistically or legally complex, 300,000 or more in damages, right? So you just choose one of those. Optionally, this is not required. You can indicate a dollar amount for monetary relief. And when you're initiating in Maricopa, you will see this checkbox. You will not see this when you're initiating in Pima. You will not see this when you're initiating in the other counties. This is a checkbox that Maricopa specifically asked us to include when initiating in Maricopa. And it's basically where you indicate you think the case is eligible for the commercial court, and the plaintiff is requesting that it be assigned to commercial court, and then you would check that box, in which case we'll put that information on the civil cover sheet and we'll pass that information on to the court with this filing. Maricopa has also provided you here with a link for more information about commercial court. Okay. Now, you can still do this sort of a thing in Pima and the other counties. They just don't make this available as part of the questionnaire. Okay. So again, one of those unique distinctions in Maricopa versus the other counties. The other thing that is happens here, however, let me just show you, talking about clean filings. What if I said our monetary relief amount is $350,000? Well, when I click next to move on, it's going to stop me. And it's going to say, wait a minute, that amount doesn't match your discovery tier level, because I selected tier 2, which limits up to 300,000. So I'm either changing my tier or I'm changing my dollar amount, right? So again, this is another example of how, like I said, we do whatever we can to alleviate the likelihood of rejections when you're creating your filings. All right, so there you go. That's your discovery tier level. Now you're simply indicating what your case category is. And when you select your category, the next page will then show you the subcategory choices. These are, again, very specific to each county, right? The 3 different approaches, the 3 different ways of doing business, the PEMA approach, the Maricopa approach, and the all other counties approach. So I'm going to just pause here for a moment, and I'm going to switch back over to our quick guide and show you. So this first column is Maricopa, the middle column is PEMA, the third column is all other counties. And so here we are looking at the case category selection when you're initiating. So these are your choices in Maricopa, in PEMA, they're the same. You'll notice in all other counties, they actually have one other category, which is real property. So if you're initiating a real property case in one of those other counties, that's your main category. If you're initiating a real property case, let's say in Maricopa, then you would simply select other, and real property would be a subcategory selection for you. So again, one of the differences between the different counties. See some other questions coming in, so I will be getting to those just to let you know. Okay, so if I were to select contracts here in Maricopa, their list of subcategories is this. The list of subcategories for a contracts case in the all other counties group may be slightly different. Okay, so again, rule of thumb, just follow along with what's presented to you on screen for this jurisdiction and you'll be okay. All right, so that's the list of subcategories for a contracts case. Let's say it was tort non-motor vehicle, right? You get a different set of subcategories. If you select other, you're going to get a long list of subcategories. Right? And so there's real property and many others. So for this one, I'm going to say it's a contracts case. It's 20 or more structures. I move on. And the question now is this case subject to compulsory arbitration? Now, you may have noticed that on some of the screens off on the right, there is a question box. These are frequently asked questions, FAQs. The court has asked us to provide these, or sometimes we do it ourselves, to provide you additional information that may be helpful. So for example, if I click on what cases are subject to arbitration, the court provides this information, okay? So that might be helpful to you in answering this question. This link, by the way, and this one, they all take you to the same FAQ. It's just different ways of accessing it. So this is a simple yes/no question. Either it is or it isn't. Either way, AZTurboCourt is going to generate this certificate for you, and then we're going to get your digital signature on it. Okay, so I'm going to say, yeah, it's subject to compulsory arbitration. When I click next, I just have a checkbox. It's asking me, okay, this is for my digital signature. You'll notice my name is embedded in this statement. So whatever your name is, you'll see that here. And then I just check the box. This is for my digital signature for this certificate. Okay. I click next. Oh, guess I didn't check it. All right. Lastly, what is the main document you are using to initiate this case? Now, I want to talk about main documents and supporting documents. So for the courts, the way their case management systems work and their document management systems works, they have what are called lead documents or main documents, and then they have supporting documents, and they're treated differently. Main documents, lead documents, are typically stamped by the court. Supporting documents typically are not. Other things will happen with them as well. When you are initiating a case, you can attach several main documents, okay? But the courts want to know what is the #1 primary main document that you're using to initiate this case. They each have their own set of main documents that you use for initiating. So again, let's go back for a moment to the quick guide, because this is really important for you to know this. And again, this is why I really recommend you having this at your disposal. When you are initiating in Maricopa, this is your set of documents that you can use as your primary main document for initiating the case. It is different, as you will see, from KEMA, which is different still, as you will see, from all other counties, right? So you're going to want to look at this and say, you're not initiating a case in Maricopa with a notice. That's not one of the choices. You can include a notice in your filing, but that can't be the #1 primary main document when you're initiating a case in Maricopa. Okay, so that's why it's super important for you to be aware of these things. Okay, and yes, and again, I am seeing your questions, and I'm going to just keep going through this portion, and then I'm going to come back to those questions. A lot of good questions. So, but I want to just keep this thread going, so it makes it easier for you to stay on track with us doing this this initiating filing. All right. So here are my choices in Maricopa, and I'm saying that my main document, my primary main document, is going to be a complaint. And then there's lastly one more question, and it's simply, do you want to ask the court to arrange for an interpreter for you? If you check the box that you do, then you'll get a drop-down list of languages. And you'll notice that sign language is one of the choices. So if you've got a client for whom hearing is an issue, you could request somebody to sign, to have the court arrange for somebody to sign in court. Okay. Otherwise, just leave that box unchecked, and there's nothing more to do. Okay, so that's it. I'm actually at the end of the interview. And when I click next, AZTurboCourt is going to analyze and process all of my answers, and it's going to generate documents for me. It's going to calculate my filing fees. It's going to set up placeholders for me to attach my documents, right, and get it all ready so that I can electronically submit it. Before we do that, though, I want to just take a pause, and I'm going to back up for a moment, because what I just walked you through was how to go through that initiating interview, but I was explaining things, talking about what if scenarios and different situations and comparing the counties, and none of that you're going to be doing, right, when you're actually answering this interview. You're just going to go through it and answer it. So I actually want to give you a more realistic view of what it's actually like to initiate a filing. So, I've indicated that I want to initiate a filing in Maricopa, right? It brings me here to the introduction. I click next. Number of attorneys, there you go. First one is me, completely filled out, except for the, is that my mailing address, yes or no? If you have other attorneys, of course, you'll then provide them. Number of plaintiffs, right? We saw that. For each plaintiff, I'm indicating just their type, and then their name. I'm going to skip everything else. The court says they don't need it. Fine, I'll save myself some time. Same thing with the next plaintiff, their type, their name. Great. Go through this with defendants. What's their type? What's their name? Do you know their address? And unknown is okay. But if I do know their address, I'm providing it. And remember, we're only doing this one time for this case. Once I've given this information to the court, I never need to give this information to them again. You'll see later on that we will grab all this information from the court when you file additional documents into this case. Same thing, defendant 2, their type, their name, address if I know it, reuse it if it's the same address. Okay, final section. No, I don't need any emergency orders right now. My tier level, optional dollar amount, my case category, subcategory, yes or no to whether it's subject to compulsory arbitration, check the box for my digital signature for that. What's my main document? No, I don't need an interpreter, and that's it, I'm done, okay? So that's really what it's gonna be like for you going through that. Okay. Let's back up one more time, and let's take a look at emergency orders. Because for some of these emergency orders, there's additional functionality that happens when you're requesting them. So I want to point out a couple of these to you. So if you are requesting at any point in time a provisional remedy when you're initiating this case, or in order to show cause, I want to walk you through what happens in these situations so that you're prepared for that. All right, let's say I request a provisional remedy. Watch what happens when I click next. Instead of immediately asking me what my discovery tier level is, I have two new questions that are specific to the provisional remedy. The reason being is that, once again, the courts have asked us to have AZTurboCourt generate this for you. So you don't actually need to create this. In fact, you're not going to. We're going to create it for you. And so the first question is, okay, which one do you need? The provisional remedy with notice or without notice? And again, you've got different FAQs that are specific to this provisional remedy question. Okay, so I'm just going to select one of those two. You'll see here in Maricopa that you have two optional checkboxes. Please check if you want to include the following documents. So we're going to generate whatever notice you've selected here. If you also intend to attach, let's say, the application for the provisional remedy or an affidavit in support of it, or both, or any combination, right? Whatever you want to do, you can indicate that here, okay? What's going to happen is if you check this box, when you go to attach your documents, we will have a placeholder already set up for you to attach this document, and it will then be required. If you're telling the court, I'm filing an application for this provisional remedy or an affidavit in support of it, they want it right away, okay? So you'll see these checkboxes when you're initiating a case in Maricopa for this provisional remedy, and in the all other counties group of counties, you'll see it. Interestingly, in PEMA, at least at this point in time, you won't see these checkboxes. Now, you can still attach these documents as part of this initiating case, but PEMA is not proactively asking you if you're going to, okay? So again, you may be initiating a case in one county, and next time you're initiating in a different county, or it's a slightly different type of case, and all of a sudden the screen that you're familiar with looks somehow different. That's because it probably is. And again, it closely matches, not closely, it precisely matches exactly what the courts need and want in that situation based on what they've told us, okay? So rule of thumb, follow along with what's on screen for that jurisdiction and you'll be okay. Let me just take a look at some of these questions to see if they're specific to this one right here. Okay, and got it. There's a question about the TRO. Okay, so provisional remedy, select which one. You can indicate or not whether you're going to also attach these documents. I'm saying yes, I am. And then there's that second page about the provisional remedy. Tell us all about it, because this is what we're going to use to generate the actual document for you. So you're going to see the names of all of the plaintiffs. Okay, you simply check which ones should be included on this notice of provisional remedy. Same thing with the defendants. Tell us which ones should be included. You have 3 lines maximum to describe the property. So I just said here are the details. 2 of these fields are required. The others are optional. So I'm putting in the amount of debt and my attorney's fees. Thank you very much. And that's it. Okay. I click next and it just brings me right back to where we were before. Okay. What you're going to see is that for the order to show cause, there are no additional questions. Now you'll see later on in just a moment that there are additional documents required. I've said I want an order to show cause. The court says, okay, we want certain documents, right? So that's what happens with additional functionality there. And similarly, there was a question about that TRO. What happens if I request a TRO? Just click next. You'll notice there's no additional questions in the interview, but there will be additional documents required for that TRO, the proposed TRO, and in Maricopa, I don't know if it's an application or a petition or whatever that other document is that they require, but it'll show you exactly what you need to attach. It's very similar to the order to show cause, so I'll show you that one. All right, so that's your provisional remedy, and even though I said in order to show cause, there's no new questions, but you'll see that there are additional documents required. All right, so covered all the bases. Now, of course, there's always little variations here and there, but again, follow along with what's on screen, you'll be fine. So I'm just going to go to the, let's save that. Make sure I don't mess anything up. Yep. I'm going to just jump ahead to the very last page of that section. This is the end of the interview. And when I click next, AZTurboCourt now is going to analyze everything. and it's going to do all of those things that I mentioned earlier. It's going to generate all sorts of documents for you that you don't need to generate. It's going to calculate the filing fees to the penny so that there's no cause for there to be a delay in the processing of your filing because of a wrong filing fee amount, right? Right now, the status of this filing or of this form set is what we call completed. Okay, so here you can see the status, and right now it's called completed. So let me just briefly talk about statuses. This is important for you to know. When you have finished your interview and you've gotten to this point, to this page essentially, that means the filing, the form set is completed, which means the interview is done. If you haven't completed the interview, the status is going to be called in progress, just so you know. Once you attach your documents and successfully electronically submit it to the court, this status will change from completed to delivered. That means the court has successfully received your electronic filing, and now you're simply waiting for them to process it and to accept it. Once they accept your filing, the status will change from delivered to e-filed, and that's what you're looking for. So essentially, you're going from completed to delivered to e-filed, okay? You have been given, and it's been there the whole time, a unique form set number. This is unique across the entire TurboCourt ecosystem across the entire country. Nobody else has this form set number. You'll notice that for all of your document attachments, the entire filing maximum file size in Arizona, and specifically in Maricopa, but I think maybe it's across all of Arizona, is 100 megabytes. And that's a really large filing, okay? So, but just so you know, if you've got a huge filing and it's more than 100 megabytes, you're gonna have to somehow break that up, okay? That's their maximum file size that they can receive. So let's take a look at the documents here that AZTurboCourt generated for you, the civil cover sheet. I simply click the view link off to the right. These are all generated as PDFs, just so you know. Okay, so plaintiff's attorney, if there's several, they'll be listed here. The plaintiffs, the defendants, I knew addresses, so I provided them here. My discovery tier level, optional amount claimed, my category, subcategory, and I requested emergency orders, so they're shown. Okay, and so this is the way Arizona has asked us to generate the cover sheet. I'm going to skip the certificate for just a second and come to the summonses. We have two defendants, so we have two summonses. First summons, this is the business defendant. Okay. And the second summons, I will assume, is for the individual defendant. Yep, Mark Anderson. That certificate of compulsory arbitration that is required, let's take a quick look at that. I said that it is subject to compulsory arbitration. So there you go, is subject to compulsory arbitration. And there is my digital signature. /S/ is Arizona's way of indicating an acceptable digital signature. And just so you know, if you're ever submitting a document that requires a signature, you know, your own document that you've created, and you're not actually signing off on it, like physically signing it, and you decide to do a digital signature, you need to include the /S/. Otherwise, it'll be rejected. Like if you just put your name there and say digitally signed or something like that, that doesn't work in Arizona. They require a /S/. So just a quick tip there. And then I said, I also want a provisional remedy. And so there's the provisional remedy that AZTurboCourt generated for you based on the fields that you filled in terms of the details and who should be listed, okay? So I listed those defendants, I checked those boxes. Here are the details that I provided, the different dollar amounts, right? This looks like, yeah, it's a 3-page document that we've generated. And so if you look through that and you decide, you know what, I actually want to change a few things here, you can't change it right here, it's a PDF. In fact, if you want to change any of these, the way you do that is you simply click review, edit your answers. I haven't submitted this to the court yet, so I can go back and change anything I need to. The other nice thing about the way AZTurboCourt's interface works is you don't have to hit the next or previous button a bunch of times to find what you're looking for. Okay, if you want to change the provisional remedy, let's say the dollar amounts, just go right to that section, right to that link, go right to the Provisional Remedy information page, couple of quick clicks. Come here, change your dollar amount, and you're good to go. And you know what? I'm spending more time. I need some more money. There you go. Thank you very much. Click next, it'll save it. Click save, it'll save it. Okay. And if I just click preview, it just jumps right into that final page. It's reanalyzing everything. It's regenerating everything. If for some reason my answers change the filing fees, it'll recalculate them. Okay. So let's take a look at that newly created provisional remedy notice. So yep, there you go, 8,400, 500 in attorney's fees. Okay. And again, civil cover sheet could be changed if you change any information about the plaintiffs or the defendants or the nature of the action. Okay. So there you go. These are all of the documents in this situation that AZTurboCourt generated on my behalf. So that's great. All right, let's look to the next section. This is where you're going to be attaching your documents. You'll see different things here, again, depending on the way you answered the questionnaire. Now, if I answered it very simply and I said, I just need to file a complaint, I don't need any emergency orders of any kind, then the only thing I would see here is complaint and supporting documents for the complaint. Okay? But I said I wanted an order to show cause. So Maricopa says, okay, you need to file a petition for that order, and you need to provide us with your proposed order. And for the person who asked about a TRO, it'll be the same thing. It'll be some sort, I don't know if it's a petition or an application, maybe it's an application. I don't, again, you'll just see whatever they show here. So there'll be either an application or petition for that TRO and your proposed TRO as required attachments, okay? I said I wanted that provisional remedy with notice, which AZTurboCourt generated for me, right? But I also checked the box that said, and I'm also going to be filing an application for that provisional remedy. Court says, okay, great, go ahead and attach it. It's a required attachment now, okay? And you can see here is where you'll be able to attach additional documents. I'll show you that in just a moment. So let's walk through attaching your documents. First and foremost is whatever I selected as my main document. In this situation, it was a complaint. So I simply click the attach link next to it. AZTurboCourt knows that what you're attaching is a complaint. You're going to want to pay attention every time you attach a document to this. What is the allowed file type? Now, in Arizona, most of the time it's a PDF, okay? But there are other situations, particularly when you're doing like proposed orders, proposed judgments, then they typically want them in an editable document format, like a docx or an ODT. Okay, but you do want to pay attention to this. Most of the time, it's a PDF. And you saw the maximum file size per document in Maricopa and Pima, it's 10 megabytes. In all other counties, it's 9.5 megabytes. Here's one question that I'll just address right now. The question was, when will firms be required to initiate cases in Maricopa, whether it's through AZTurboCourt or any other means? We don't have any control over that. That's really going to be up to MCOSC, the Maricopa Superior Court, and the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts. We will certainly be notified ahead of time of that happening. We will be sending out email notifications that that's coming. I'm sure Arizona will be sending out all sorts of notifications that mandatory e-filing for initiating in Maricopa, if they ever decide to do that. That's up to them. So I don't know the answer to that. Oh, and I've also been told that the audio is has been cutting in and out. So I apologize for that. I don't know what that's about. How am I sounding right now? Can whoever just respond, whoever just typed that, can just type that in the chat again? Good right now, great. Okay, good. I don't know what that's about, frankly. Let's hope that it doesn't continue. But please do notify me if it's really going out, and I'll just back up a few moments and reiterate what I said. Cutting out still. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a mix. Like some people are saying it's great, thumbs up. Others just say it's cutting out a little bit. So again, I apologize for that. And Okay. So anyway, yeah. So what I was speaking to was the when when it's going to become mandatory, we don't know. It's up to Maricopa and the AOC, but we will certainly alert everybody to that, as I'm sure they will. Okay. So here I am in the attaching my complaint. It needs to be a PDF. Here you'll provide the title or description to this particular document. You have up to 100 characters to title your document. That's, I believe, across all of the counties for general civil filings in Arizona. So up to 100 characters. For the sake of time, I'm just going to call it my complaint. Terrible name. Do not use that. Put something meaningful in there. But I'm just going to keep it short for now. And then you simply click choose file and then find your PDF that you created. There's my complaint. When you click save, AZTurboCourt will make sure that is a valid PDF file. And if it is, it'll bring you here and it'll show you that it's been attached. If it's not valid, let's say it exceeds the size of the document, it's greater than 10 megabytes, it won't allow you to attach it. Or, let's say you took a WordPerfect document and you simply renamed it .pdf, right? It's not going to work. We're going to not allow you to attach that, because if you then submitted that to the court, they're going to reject the entire filing, right? Again, we don't want you to have rejected filings. So we're going to try to catch things up front. So that's what happens there. Now that I have attached my complaint, yeah, they may reject filings based on the way it's titled. I don't know. That's up to the courts. But speaking of that, now that you've attached your document, you'll notice that the attach link has changed to edit. And so I can click on that edit link and I can change the title description. Remind you, up to 100 characters. Or let's say you also have a view link. So let's say I had clicked on this view link to look at the document I just attached just to make sure it was the right one. And I realized, oh no, I attached an earlier version. That's not the right one. And you want to replace it. So you click edit and simply choose a different file. We'll simply remove that previous file and replace it with the new one that you choose, right? Because you haven't submitted anything to the court yet. So you can do this at any point prior to submitting it to them. Okay, I'll just click save for my new name. There you go, my complaint, 100 characters. You'll also notice that you can attach supporting documents to this main document. You can attach up to 25 supporting documents to this complaint, to that main document. And you see they have this relationship. It's indented, it's connected, and the court will see it this way as well. They'll see it as a supporting document to the complaint. And to do so, once again, I simply click attach. It knows, we know that you're attaching it as a supporting document to the complaint. And now you have choices as to what type of supporting document you are attaching. So in Maricopa, so I'm just going to focus right now on Maricopa because we're initiating a Maricopa. One option is just a generic supporting document, whatever this happens to be. Okay, and then you title it accordingly, right? Or in Maricopa, you can identify it as a proposed order, proposed judgment, right? Notice that when I selected proposed order judgment in Maricopa, it said it needs to be in a doc or docx format. It's going to be a little different in PEMA, a little different in the all other counties group. So again, you'll want to pay attention to that. In fact, let me just switch back to our quick guide for just a moment. Supporting documents when you're initiating. Here we are in Maricopa, right? Exhibit attachment, generic supporting document, proposed order, proposed judgment. In PEMA, you're only going to get the choice supporting document. There will be no other choices as a supporting document. Now, you can still attach proposed orders and proposed judgments when initiating in PEMA, but they do it differently. They don't want them as supporting documents. They want them as main documents. The caveat to that is sometimes based on the nature of what you're filing, let's say that order to show cause or the TRO, and the court is now requiring that you attach the proposed order, In that situation, the proposed order will be a supporting document to that application or to that petition. Okay, but just so you know, and in the all other counties, again, a slightly different list. Yeah, somebody was just pointing out that in Arizona, the Supreme Court administrative order beginning October 1st, attorneys are required to electronically file case initiating civil case documents. So that may be so. It sounds important if it's coming from your Supreme Court. I haven't seen that, so I'm not going to comment other than what this person has passed on. Thank you very much, by the way. So it may very well be that per October 1st, you're required to initiate across all the counties in Arizona. So thanks for passing that on to me and to everybody. So here we are back at my supporting document to my complaint. In this situation, I'm just going to call it a generic supporting document, which now it says, okay, PDF, and I'm just going to call it Exhibit A, for example. Choose my file, find my exhibit, or whatever it was that I'm needing to attach. There it is. Click Save. So here we have our supporting document, which I called Exhibit A. As you can see, it's attached. And now I have 24 supporting documents more or less that I can attach. Okay, so there you go. I said I wanted an order to show cause. So the court said, you must attach the petition. I've already done that just to save us some time. It says you need to attach a proposed order to show cause as a supporting document to that petition. Again, I've already done that. But this is a main document, so I can attach other supporting documents to that petition, up to 24 more. I said I was going to attach an application for that provisional remedy. The court said, okay, go ahead, do it. I've done that again to save us some time. It's a main document, right? It's justified to the far left here. So I can have supporting documents to that one if I wanted to, okay? And in addition to that primary #1 main document that I selected in the interview, I can attach up to 5 more main documents, what we're calling additional documents here. What those are, again, varies from county to county. So one more time, back to our quick guide. Additional main documents when you are initiating a case. Here are the list of documents in Maricopa that you can include, in addition to whatever you listed in the interview as your main document. Here is the list in PEMA, and I'm gonna just double check to make sure that's a current list. Here is the list in the all other counties group. As you can see, they're quite different, okay? So I can't say it enough. Grab the quick guide. It'll just save you a lot of headaches when you're filing in different counties. Okay, so if you wanted to attach an additional document, you select attach. I'm in Maricopa, so we know what your choices are. I can say an application, and then it shows me what you know, there you go, application for the TRO, for example. All right, and then you go through the same process, attach a document, attach supporting documents, whatever you need to do there. I'm not going to do that right now. And then to finish up, I'm going to provide my name, first and last name. And by submitting my documents, I am agreeing to the terms and conditions. So you can click on that link to see that. I'm declaring under penalty of perjury. By putting my name here, I'm putting in my digital signature. And once I click submit, because payment is required, it will take me to the payment processor that Arizona uses, which I'll show you in just a moment. But I want to just back up here and kind of summarize what we've been doing. So we quickly answered that interview, and AZTurboCourt generated a bunch of documents for us. Thank you, that's awesome. It calculated my filing fees so that I get the exact amount that doesn't delay any processing. Great. Currently, I'm in completed status until I attach and submit my documents. And then it created placeholders for any required documents, as well as the ability for me to attach additional documents, supporting documents, and so forth. And again, this dynamically changes based on the way I answered the case initiating interview, okay? Once I select submit. Because there are fees required, I'll make my payment. But before I do that, we're almost there. But before I do that, there's two other pieces of functionality which I think you'll find very helpful and that I want to bring to your attention. You'll notice at the top of this screen, there are several what we call toolbar buttons. I'm just going to bring your attention to the first two here, notifications and add keyword matter number. So first, let's look at that keyword matter number. You'll notice here in the header of this filing, there's a keyword matter number field. It's currently empty. Now, this is for your own internal purposes only. This has nothing to do with the court. They don't see this. They don't do anything with this. This is just for your own use. And it is very useful. So if I click on the Add Keyword Matter Number button, I simply get a field. I can type anything in here, letters, numbers, special characters, multiple words. Use the Keyword Matter Number field, if you'd like, for identifying what your filings are about. If you have a client ID system, then you might want to put your client ID here, and so that later on, 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, you can say, show me all the filings we did on behalf of this particular client, right? And you just do that search that way, and we'll show you all of those AZTurboCourt filings. Maybe you use a case ID system that's separate from whatever case number the court is giving you. So put your case ID in here, and again, then you can see all of the filings that were filed on behalf of that case. And also remember, for your firm, there is somebody in the role of filing administrator, which means if you've got multiple people in your firm filing on the same case, or multiple people filing on behalf of the same client, the filing administrator can see all of the filings for that client or for that case if you're using the keyword matter number, okay? In fact, I know a number of firms that actually require all of their attorneys and legal assistants to use the keyword matter number. That's how they track these things. Okay, so super helpful field. So let's say, for example, I use a client ID system, and this is my client A-23456. Okay, but I can type in more words. I can type in special characters, whatever. Okay, it's all good. It just needs to be on your standard keyboard. We don't support other character sets. Click Save. And now it's associated with this filing, okay? Now again, this is for internal use only. The court doesn't care about this, which means I can do this at any time. So let's say I submitted this filing, it went from completed to delivered, and I forgot to put in the keyword matter number. And like, oh my God, I forgot the keyword matter number. It doesn't matter. You can do this at any time. You can add the keyword matter number or edit it, change it anytime you want, even if it's already been e-filed, okay? So super helpful. So that's the keyword matter number button. And then there is the notifications button. When I click on the notifications button, it has two sections to it, email preferences and courtesy notifications. So let me just briefly show you this part, email preferences. This is simply showing you what your current default setting is in your profile, right? So are you one of these? Are you this one? Whatever it happens to be, okay? Now, let's say you are somebody who said, yeah, you know what? I really am logged in all the time, like even on the weekends. And I really don't need any extra emails. And again, that's actually okay. If that's really what is so for you, it's okay. I don't recommend it, but you can do that. And let's also imagine that not only is this your setting, but this is a brand new client. You're initiating a case with them for the very first time. It's the end of the day on Friday, and you're going on vacation. Yay. You might actually want to make sure that you receive email notifications in that situation. And so that's why we have this. For this one filing and only this one filing, you could say, okay, for this one filing, send me email notifications. All right, so that's what this functionality is all about. Courtesy notifications. You can have other people receive these emails, these status updates for this one filing. It could be co-counsel, it could be your boss, it could be your assistant, it could even be your client. You could have multiple email addresses in here. Just separate them with a comma, right? Whatever you need to do. And these folks will also get these status updates, these emails pertaining to this one filing. Please note that they do not include any documents. These emails just include status updates from the court regarding this filing. Okay, so that's courtesy notifications. And if you need to make any changes, then just click Save. Okay, so there you go. That's the notifications button and the keyword matter number button. All right, let's go ahead and submit this filing, shall we? Actually, this sounds like actually feels like a really good point for me to back up and take a look at all of these questions you folks have been asking before we actually move on to submitting the filing. Let's see. Lots of great questions here, folks. Okay. Oh, I'm backing up even further. Lots of good questions. Okay. So, okay, so some people are just making comments about functionality they'd like to see. So thank you for that, and I will pass that on to both our design team and Arizona. One question, how do you list ABC partnerships 1 through 10, black and white corporations, X-XI, for example? Again, I don't mean to defer this, but I would actually ask the clerk how they want those identified. Just ask them; they'll tell you how that should be done through AZTurboCourt, and then you'll have your answer. And it might even be different. Unfortunately, potentially, it might even be different from, let's say Maricopa versus Yavapai versus Pima. They may have different approaches to this sort of thing for their case management systems. So it's not a simple black and white answer, unfortunately. So for whatever jurisdiction you're filing into for a question like that, I would just ask the clerk. Thanks for that comment about a typo. It's always good to get corrected, and so we can clean that up. Let's see, if you have more than one address you want to try serving the defendant at, how do you input that for the summons? Okay, so you can't on the summons, at least right now. Arizona doesn't want us to have multiple addresses for what we're asking. So Arizona only wants one address for the defendant. When you're doing your summons, you can always add an address to that, whatever gets generated, right? So you're going to print it out, and you can add multiple addresses to it. They're not providing us with an opportunity to have multiple addresses per defendant. Yeah, OSCs and TROs are available for case initiating right now. What if we need to edit addresses, for example? Unfortunately, I don't know when that question was asked, but if you're asking about if you haven't yet submitted your documents and you realize you need to change an address, then yeah, you can click Review, Edit Your Answer, and change a plaintiff's address, change a defendant's address, change your own address if you need to. All of that can be done prior to submitting the documents. And then once you've made those changes and saved them, AZTurboCourt will regenerate everything, regenerate all the documents. So if that's what you mean, there you go. If you meant something else, then please just ask a follow-up question. If there are multiple attorneys within the same firm, do you still fill out the forms for each one? Well, it depends on if you're identifying multiple attorneys to be a party to, to be on the case, right? So it's like if you're having one attorney on the case, that's one thing. If you're having 2 or 3 attorneys from your firm to be listed on the case, then yes, you want them, you want the court to know about them. So then yes, you would provide their details as well. You'd add them as a second or a third attorney. How do you know which documents TurboCourt will automatically create so that you don't duplicate the work? Awesome question. And that is why I created, sorry, a little self-congratulations, this quick guide. Let's see here. Case initiation, documents always generated for you by AZTurboCourt. Case initiation, optional documents generated for you by AZTurboCourt, again, depending on whether or not you've said yes to those questions. Okay, so there you go for case initiation. And I think I do the same thing for subsequent filings as well. Okay. Okay, let me back up here. I see some follow-up questions. So, but I'm just going to walk through all of these one at a time. Otherwise, I may wind up skipping somebody, and I don't want to do that. Let's see. Got it. 0, yeah, we talked about that. Will summons generated upon completion of filing? Yeah, so you've seen that now. Sorry again about the audio cutting out. I hope it's better. Somebody made a very funny comment. I'm not going to repeat. Let's see. Does it generate family court forms? Okay, well, if you're talking about, so AZTurboCourt has a family application, family law application. It's not in the realm of general civil, it's in the realm of family. So if you're doing just straight up family law, family court forms, you can go to that application instead of the general civil. And let me just very quickly show you. I can come back to this one very quickly. So when I click home, family law superior court, right? So you can just do it there, okay? That would be one option. In terms of general civil, yeah, we're not generating family law forms in the general civil application. The quick guide again is, well, first of all, you're going to get, just so you know, when that automatic email comes to you tomorrow with a link to this training, I'm also including in there a link to the quick guide. But when you come to the very beginning here of general civil, so click on general civil, it's on this very, very first page here. It's on the next several pages, essentially. So it's going to be here, right? It's like the first 3 to 4 pages. Here it is again, some other places as well, okay? So we really try to bring your attention to it as much as we can, and you'll get a link to it tomorrow as well. How does service work? I think I pointed out a little bit earlier about accessing the service portion of a previous training. That's what you're going to want to take a look at. That really goes into great detail. Is there a way to save your documents for someone else to review before submitting? So sure. So if you're talking about the documents that TurboCourt itself has generated, like these that we're seeing right now, I can, because I can open them, I can print them, I can save them to my hard drive, and then I can share them with anybody else I want to have them review it, such as the notice of provisional remedy or that, whatever, right? So I could do that. And they can review it. And then if they have any changes or mockups, then I can come and click review, edit my answers, make those changes, and have AZTurboCourt regenerate it for me. Obviously, your own documents, you're generating them outside of AZTurboCourt anyway, right? So then, of course, you can have other people review them before you attach them here. Okay, so a follow-up on the address question. If you need to edit an address after the case has been initiated, if a person moves, got it. It would only be on your side, so you're not going to be able to update opposing side addresses. The court won't let you do that. They have to do that on their own behalf. If it's for yourself or for the folks that you're representing, change of address in Arizona General Civil. I don't recall, frankly. I don't believe you're doing that through AZTurboCourt. I would reach out to the clerk's office and ask them how you do a change of address, either for folks you're representing. I don't know that there's a pathway or a filing that gets generated through AZTurboCourt for that. How are summonses processed, original versus copy? So the court will electronically stamp the summonses, put their stamp on it, put their court seal on it, and that will be electronically, digitally made available to you the moment it gets, the filing is accepted. I'll actually show you some variation of that in just a moment. And that's an official copy. It's that actually can be served to the other parties. So there you go. Okay, so so the question is, if you're filing under the, coming back to this family law question, does it create the family law forms? Yes, actually, the family law application is actually designed more for pro se. Attorneys absolutely can use it and do use it. It's the same dynamic interaction. It knows, based on the way you're answering the questions, what questions are required, which are not required. It will validate information, and at the end, it will generate the forms for you. And we generate lots and lots of family law forms. It's a terrific application. I actually recommend you checking it out. Question about stamped documents. This person recently filed some documents into an existing case. When you try to receive the stamped copies, you get an error page. Okay. Was that in Maricopa or in another jurisdiction? For something like that, I would just reach out to, great, thanks. I would reach out to tech support, that tech support number I provided to you. That may be a problem with Maricopa providing us their documents. I know that they are, but there could be a technical glitch on their end, especially since this portion of it is new for them. So yeah, just reach out to tech support and give them the specific form set number and the specific document or documents that you're trying to access, and they'll be able to help you with that. Filing a motion for a change of address. Okay, great. So you can, when you're filing additional documents into an existing case, then filing a motion is absolutely one of the options that you have. And so, yeah, if a change of address is done through filing a motion, you can do that. I'm actually going to show you filing into an existing case in just a moment. So you could handle that there. Thanks for that feedback. How do you get the filed documents, and how long after, once it's been submitted? Really important questions. So I will actually, we're going to go ahead and submit this filing, and then I'll talk about the different counties in Maricopa and how you access those documents and when they're available. Somebody here added that there's a lag time now, is the way they put it, after you receive the e-filed notification. Stamped documents used to be available right away. Actually, I'm not sure there was exactly right away, but and now there's a wait. You have to log back in. Yeah. So let me show you in the quick guide what we currently know. This is a quickly evolving, changing thing. So stamped document availability, Maricopa. What we're currently saying is, and again, this is per the courts. This is what they're telling us: less than an hour after acceptance. PIMA, within an hour after acceptance. When you're filing into the other counties, it's the next day, whatever the next morning is, after they've accepted it. Okay, so that's what they're telling us. Again, this is a quickly evolving thing. This is all on their side, on their technology. First of all, how quickly they're doing their own internal processing. Once the clerk marks the filing to be accepted, and we show it as being accepted, do they have other things that they need to do on their end to get those documents available? We don't have any control over that sort of a thing. We're being told that this is how frequently, or how quickly I should say, the documents should be made available to you. But again, we will show them to you the moment we have access to them, but we don't unfortunately have control over that. Okay. So, and again, it depends on the county that you are filing into in terms of their frequency. But this is what the courts are telling us they're making available. If it turns out that that's not accurate, and I don't mean like occasionally, but I mean like most of the time, like, yeah, they're never available within an hour, then then that would be something that's not a TurboCourt thing. We don't, again, have any say in that. Then I would reach out to the clerk's office and say, hey, you're supposed to have these things available to us. We need them. Can you, please speed up your processing? Because once they're technically available, they're instantly available for us to pass on to you. It's an instantaneous thing, but we're simply waiting for the courts to actually make them available to us. So just so you know, that's how that's configured technically. Okay. Deep breath. For those of you who are wondering, this is definitely going to go more than 2 hours. I'm going to just keep on going. This question that you just asked, again, clerk's office, if they're doing something like that regarding orders and a judge's signature. Yeah, it's definitely it's an internal processing issue that you'll need to have them take a look at and address. And they may ask us to do something technically to support it. I don't know, but yeah, there you go. All right, let's go ahead and submit this filing, this initiating filing in Maricopa. And to do so, I simply click submit. I've already attached all my documents. And because payment is required, it's going to take you to a company called MCOSC. This is the company that Arizona uses in this realm to process their payments. So we are live connected with the MCOSC system, just as we are live connected with Maricopa system right now in these testing environments, which I'm using for this demonstration. And so we've passed on to them that this is going into the Maricopa County Superior Court, what the fees are, the form set, your form set number, and then here are your payment options. You can pay with a checking or savings account. And if you're going to do that, just enter the routing number, your account number, and these are the options that MCOSC provides: checking, savings, corporate, which I assume is corporate checking, or corporate savings. Optionally, you can provide a check number. If this happens to be your bank account, then save yourself some time in terms of the billing information and just click same as filer's information. We'll pull your information, give it to MCOSC from your profile. Of course, this is going to be your firm's address, so this you'll probably want to update to be your own address. But everything else here is helpful to just automatically populate on your behalf. The account is either going to be in an organization name, right, or a person's first and last name. Okay. And then, so that's for a checking account. And if you want to pay with a credit card, these are the choices that MCOSC makes available. Enter the card number, your security code, your expiration date. And again, is it under a company or organization name, or is it a person's first and last name? Okay. So you'll also notice that there's something called saved payment. So if you are making this payment, whether it's a bank account or a credit card, you will be given the option after payment is successfully made to save it for future use for AZTurboCourt filings. You can choose not to, in which case you'll just manually enter this information each time. But if you decide you do want to save it, you'll be given that opportunity, and then it'll appear in this saved payment list for you to select. So I'm just going to show you. This is a ridiculously long list of saved payment methods, because it's a testing environment. So we've got credit cards, we've got bank accounts, and so forth. But then you would just select whichever one you wanted to pay with. The reason I'm also pointing this out to you is that it may occur that somebody in your firm, in an administrative role, pre-registers payment methods. Let's say the firm's corporate card for civil filings, or something or a bank account for even. They may pre-register with MCOSC payment methods to be used for AZTurboCourt filings, and then grant you access to be a user of that payment method, right? So you're not going to have the credit card number and any of that, but it'll have some kind of a special name that they give it, right? And they'll call it the the corporate civil MasterCard or whatever, and then you'll just see that name here, right? And then you'll select it. So even though you yourself may not have ever saved a payment method for use, you may still see this Save Payment tab, because an administrator has given you access to a company card, for example. Okay, let's go back and make a payment here. They've given me some fake card numbers for this, so I'm going to try one of these. Really hope it works. Yep, okay. And let's just call this 1021. If for some reason it doesn't go through, it's going to show me a red error message here from MCOSC, but I'll cross my fingers and click Submit Payment here at the bottom. Oh, can I do that? Okay. Let's do that again. 1021. Good, good, good. Address is there. Great. Submit payment. Yay. Okay. Payment was successful. Okay, they're verifying it, but looks like it's going to go through. Give it just a moment to have MCOSC finish up their processing. Normally, this will be instantaneous. You won't typically see this, but testing environments, we never really know how these things will work. There you go. Payment was successful. Status is now delivered, which means that the court actually, not only was your payment successful, we just submitted this filing, all of that data, all of those documents to Maricopa, and Maricopa sent us back saying, yep, we have it. It's all good, no technical issues. So congratulations. You can view your payment receipt. Very helpful information here, right? Case type, jurisdiction, form set number, no case number yet, your keyword matter number, the submission name that we generate for you, all the details about the transaction. Here we've already gotten an ID from Maricopa for you. I'm passing it on to you. Breakdown of the fees, of course. You can view this on screen at any time, as I'm doing right now. You can click this link, print payment details. You can either print it or simply save a digital copy of this receipt, so you have a digital copy of it, okay? So that's available to you. If you don't want to save that credit card information, you don't have to. You can simply click Don't Save and let me go to my form set, right? Or if you do, you simply provide a nickname here, alphanumeric. Do not include identifying information, like don't put the card number in here and things like that. I'm just going to call it Stevens newest MasterCard. I am actually going to put in the last 4 digits because otherwise I'm not going to remember which card I just used. There you go. Click Save and View Form Set. I'll be able to use that credit card in the future now. So there we go. It's delivered. Here's everything that you just delivered to Maricopa Superior Court. Here, there's another way of accessing those messages, those status updates. Thank you for submitting your documents. Okay, great. I'll mark that as being read. I have a payments tab for this filing. So once again, accessing the transaction information, clicking on that payment details link. Once again, I'm here. I can print it, save a digital copy, or simply view it on screen. I go back to my details tab here on the left. And essentially, it's in delivered status. So I'm simply waiting for the court to accept that filing, in which case it'll change to e-filed. Okay. Notice I can still add or edit that keyword matter number even at this point, even though I've already delivered it. I can even change notifications, and I can say, oh, I want somebody else to also be notified about what's going on with this filing, and I can add their email address. Okay. So there you go. Let's quickly take a look at a filing that has already been e-filed so that you can see what happens once the court does accept your filing. I'm going to actually show you this search screen in more detail in just a bit, but this is where you can access any and all of your filings. Okay, so this is a filing, a form set, Maricopa Superior. It's been e-filed. I'm just going to click on that form set number to go into the filing. All right, so this was just a motion to amend. That's all that this one included. Great. Status is e-filed. And what you will notice is that any filing that you go into where the status is e-filed, you will see a new toolbar button here off to the right called View Court Case Documents. That wasn't there before, even when it was in status delivered. But the moment the court tells us that they've accepted the case, we will change this to e-filed, and we will give you access to the View Court Case Documents button. This gives you access not only to the court stamped documents for this filing, it gives you access to all of the court case documents for this particular case number that the court makes available to us. Now, again, we don't have any control over what they make available, but if I click on this View Court Case Documents button, now this is, again, it's a test case, it's not real, it's from quite a while ago, but it should work. I'm actually talking to Maricopa right now. Yeah, okay. So, and again, in production, this may look a little different, of course, but these are all of the documents that Maricopa has in their system for this particular case number, including the motion I just filed, along with everything else. And again, this is kind of what people were commenting about how quickly will the stamped version be available of that motion that I just filed. Again, supposed to be within an hour for Maricopa, but who knows? It sounds like it's sometimes longer than that. But previous documents, and these are not just your documents, right? These are opposing sides documents as well. It could be judges' documents, right? Orders and things like that, right? So these are your case documents for this case. It's awesome. So once again, I'm going to just click on the filing details button to bring me back to that previous screen. Anytime you want to access the court case documents on a case that you're working on, just find any e-filed filing of yours, go into it, and you'll get access to the View Court Case Documents button. Okay. All right. So we have successfully created, paid for, and submitted an initiating filing in Maricopa Superior Court. We were imagining the court has accepted it. We look at the e-filed filing and we access the court case documents so we can access the stamped documents, and there you go. So that brings us to the conclusion of case initiation, and in particular for Maricopa Superior Court. Now I'm going to try to very quickly cover some important things about filing into existing cases, particularly in Maricopa, existing Maricopa cases, searching for your filings and ways of managing your workload, how to reuse an existing filing to very quickly create new filings, new initiating filings and subsequent filings, and also how to access data on your the financial data, the payment information about how much you're spending on a client or on a case, and getting financial reports as well. I see somebody else has clicked the raise hand button. Unfortunately, we can't interact through the raise hand button. So if you have a question, just go ahead and put it into the chat, and I'll respond to it accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead now and go to another filing. This is going to be a filing into an existing case. I've got to file some motions or a notice or whatever other documents I'm needing to file. I'm going to go back to my search screen here. Yep, that's the one I want. And the process is the same. Whether you're initiating a case or you're simply filing into an existing case, the process that you go through is the same. However, when you are filing into an existing case, it's very, very fast because you don't have to answer all of those questions about the case that you do when you're first initiating it for that one time. So I'm in Arizona, I selected General Civil, I say where I'm needing to file, Maricopa. In this situation, I'm choosing the second option. I'm filing into an existing case. And then you provide the case number. And whichever jurisdiction you select, we will then show you the valid case number formats to at least guide you to making sure you provide the case number in the proper format for that jurisdiction. In Maricopa, sometimes you'll see a case number with the dash, sometimes without the dash. You can provide it here either way, okay? What's going to happen when you provide your case number and I click next is, once again, we're going to reach out to Maricopa's case management system in their Superior Court and say, do you have this case number? in your General Civil Superior Court. If it doesn't find it, or if there's some issue, we'll leave you on the screen, give you a message, and then you'll make sure you've got the right case number. If it does find it, then we'll just take you right into the next step. So I'll click next. Give it a moment for Arizona, Maricopa specifically to respond. Okay, they found it. Great. So here we are, same process. Answer a few questions, attach your documents. But again, because it's an existing case, it's much, much faster. So I click next. And the first thing it does is it shows me the information that Maricopa has on that particular case number. Important for you to note that anytime Maricopa returns the case number, they remove the dash. So you may see the case number with or without the dash on your documents. You can enter it with the dash as you just saw, but Maricopa will always return it now without the dash. They will show you the case name. They will show you who they currently have listed as case participants. So at this point, we've got one plaintiff, one defendant, and one attorney. And let's imagine that I'm the attorney representing the defendant. This is our first time filing in this case. So I'm assuming this is the attorney for the plaintiff. So I look at that and say, yeah, that's my case. And I click next. Now, what happens if it turns out this isn't your case? It's a valid case number, but let's say you transposed a couple digits, and you got somebody else's case. All right, well, that's not my case. So just click change case number and put in the proper case number. Okay, I'm clicking next because this is my case. I've never filed on this case before, so I'm not yet shown because the court doesn't know about me. So that's the plaintiff's attorney, but I'm not the plaintiff's attorney, so I would say I'm not on this list. But let's just pretend that I am the plaintiff's attorney and I'm filing some additional documents. So I select that, and then I just proceed with the next questions. What is it I'm filing, and so forth, okay? But because I'm not yet on the list, I'm going to be introducing myself. And so one of the questions that Maricopa is asking is, hey, have you been appointed by the court to participate in this case? Maybe I'm an arbitrator or a mediator, right? So if I were to say, yeah, I actually have been appointed, then it's going to ask me, okay, what's your role, right? I just want you to know that all of the counties do this. They will ask if you've been appointed by the court when you're first adding yourself to the case. They do it differently, however, in terms of the way the question is phrased or which page it appears on. For whatever reason, it's a little bit different. So you will be asked that question, but it may not be on this page. So again, rule of thumb, just follow along with what's presented to you on screen for this jurisdiction when you're filing into an existing case, and you'll be okay. All right, so here I am. I'm not on the list yet. Click next. This is all pre-populated for me again. Thank you. And I'm, again, just indicating whether that's my current mailing address or not. It is. Clicking next. Okay. Who do you represent? And there may be multiple plaintiffs and multiple defendants, right? So you just check whoever it is that you're representing. If you need to, if you're wanting to have somebody added to the case, a motion to intervene, whatever, you can do that right here. In this situation, I'm going to keep it simple and say, hey, I represent the defendant, and no, we have not yet paid our appearance fee. You also have the ability to indicate that you've got an active order from the court waiving or deferring fees either for the case or for a specific document, in which case we would suppress the filing fees. But let's keep it more traditional. I represent the defendant, first time filing, no, we haven't paid our appearance fee. I click next. And there's only one other question I need to answer, and that is, what is my #1 primary document? Okay, so basically, who are you? And if this is the first time you're filing, who do you represent? Great, what are you filing? Right, it's super, super fast. I mean, it's less than 60 seconds when you're doing it. All right, so the main document selection, it also varies from county to county in terms of what documents are shown here, the list of sub-documents. It varies, right? So what you see here in Maricopa is a little different than what you're going to see in Pima, which is a little different than what you're going to see in the all other counties group. And my suggestion is, if you're filing for the first time, let's say in Pima on an existing case, what I would say is come to this, get the filing started. Just say, here's filing in Pima, here's my case number. Come to this screen and say, okay, what are the complaint types that they allow? Or what are the types of motions that they allow? Because this list of motions here in Maricopa, is very different than the list of motions in PEMA, which is very different than the list of motions in the all other counties group. Just so you know, the all other counties group, they all sort of share the same business approach. So that's why I call it the all other counties approach. I would recommend you doing that. So, because you can see in Maricopa, in terms of named motion types, it's a small list, and then everything else is just a generic motion. But in those other counties, they have a much longer list of named motion types. So it would be helpful for you to know that up front. Let me see, there's a couple of new questions here, one regarding payments, so I'll address that right now so we don't get too far along, and another one. So let's see, that you've recently had some issues with payment being accepted. Let's see, had issues where payment wasn't accepted, but the forms would not be automatically submitted if the payment didn't go through. If you've got so if you're having so for a payment issue, that's all NCORT. Again, this is one of those things where it's another system that we simply communicate with. We don't have a lot of control over what happens in the realm of NCORT processing payment information. If they tell us for some reason the payment's not going through, all we could do is we show you that, and then you can like try it again, or yeah, you might have to, well, depending on how NCORT is set up, you might have to return to the AZTurboCourt filing and then say submit again to go back to NCORT, although I don't know why that would happen. You shouldn't have to do that. Like if the payment doesn't go through in NCORT, it will leave you on the NCORT page. It'll show a red error message that for some reason it didn't go through. At that point, you should be able to stay on the NCORT page and either re-enter the information or try a different credit card and resubmit it. If that's not happening, that's an NCORT technical issue. And then I would present that to that tech support phone number and let them know, and let them know it's specifically regarding payments. And then they can ask NCORT to take a look at that. Okay, another question here. Question is, can any pleading now be filed via AZTurboCourt in an existing case in the Maricopa County Justice Courts? Okay, different than Superior Courts. Or are there only certain types of pleadings that can be filed via TurboCourt in those justice courts? Okay, so for the justice courts, we have specific applications. We've got the family law, we've got the small claims, we've got the landlord-tenant, and those are typically set up as more like pro se, but attorneys can file through them, and you can attach different types of documents. I don't know all the specifics. There's lots of variations there. So you'd actually have to go into, if it's a family filing or a landlord-tenant filing that you're wanting to do in a justice court, you're needing to do in a justice court, I would actually go to that particular AZTurboCourt application for Arizona to see what you can file. There's lots of variations, and it's always sort of evolving in terms of what the courts have asked us to allow to do. Basically, anything that's happening in AZTurboCourt for Arizona happens because the courts have asked us to do that. And so if it's limited, if it's not there, it's because they've either said, no, we don't want you to do that, or they're not yet set up to do that. Like probate filings, you can't do electronically yet. So we're waiting for Arizona to get that set up, and we're hoping it's soon, but just as an example. So I hope that helps. I hope that answered your question. Okay, back to filing into an existing case. Basically just say who you are and what you're filing, what your main document is. And again, this is presented differently for the different counties. In Maricopa, as we are right now, the main document lists are presented in categories that are these checkboxes. So I'm filing an answer or an application or a certificate, and you'll notice only one checkbox can be selected at a time. It'll just recheck whatever one I select. And then whichever one you choose, you then go down to the drop down and you select whichever one is appropriate. Just an answer and counterclaim, right? If I said I needed to file a notice, here are the notices in Maricopa. So they've got some named ones, and if it's not there, you just select the generic notice. Okay, same thing with motions. one main document, and that's it. So like I said, 60 seconds. Put in your case number, you say who you are, you pick your one main document, that's it, you're done. Click next. Same process, right? Completed filing, completed form set, new form set number, fees, if any, that are appropriate. For documents that AZTurboCourt generates, in this situation, there aren't any that are generated that need to be filed, right? There's nothing here. I just said, hey, I want to file an answer or a motion or whatever it happens to be. So I'm simply going to be attaching my documents. However, we do generate a summary sheet for you if that's helpful. This is not filed with the court. Okay, so let me just quickly show it to you. I'll click the view button. And it's really just a summary page. Okay, so where I'm filing, case number, form set number, who the attorney is, who I'm representing, what the main document was. So if that's helpful to you, you can save a digital copy, print it, whatever you need. If not, you can disregard it. Okay, I said I'm filing an answer and counterclaim. That is the one and only required document for this filing. And then if I have supporting documents, I can do that. So as you saw before, just very quickly, that's your document, view it if you need to, edit, attach supporting documents, okay? And I'm good to go. Now, here's a really important distinction with Maricopa versus any of the other counties, Pima and the other groups of counties. When you're filing into an existing case, Maricopa can only allows for a single main document per filing, okay? So if I also have a motion, I have to do it as a separate filing in Maricopa. That's the way they've set it up. So that's why you're seeing it this way. Again, it's not up to us. When you're filing into Pima or the other counties, you'll see that link for 5 additional documents. Okay, so you can, in a single filing in those other counties, you can attach up to 6 main documents. This one plus 5 more. But in Maricopa, it's 1 at a time. I don't actually know why that is, but it is the way it is. So just so you know, it's important for you to know that. And then from here, you just proceed as you normally would. If there's a payment required, you make your payment and it gets submitted. It goes to status delivered. You wait for it to be e-filed, and then the court case documents button would be available to you, and then you'd have access to the stamped document for this version, for this document, plus all the other documents in that case. The one thing I want to show you very, very briefly now, that's different when you're filing into an existing case versus doing a case initiation filing, is that when you're doing case initiation, there's only one service available, which is to electronically file electronically. You'll see that here in the upper left corner. When you are filing into an existing case, there are 2 services available: file electronically, which is what we've been doing, or do that plus eServe. And I've talked a little bit about eServe. And if you were to choose that, you'll get an extra screen. You said it's a one-time setup of who needs to be e-served. It could be one person, it could be 20 parties. On a huge case, it really doesn't matter. But you would do this one time, and then this e-service recipient list would be available for this case number anytime you file documents on that case. And again, as I said, I highly, highly recommend you check out e-service and check out the e-service training that I pointed out to you earlier. Just take a quick look at it. It's maybe, I don't know how long that portion of the training is, maybe 10 minutes or something, 10 or 15 minutes. It walks you through everything. It's super efficient. I really recommend it. One question here. Oh, great question. And this points to one of the other pieces of functionality that I'm about to show you. The question is, and this is particularly for Maricopa, because they can only take one main document at a time into an existing case. So when you're filing more than one main document, do you have to start over every time from the what jurisdiction screen, or is there a shortcut of some sort? So the answer is we have created a shortcut for you for this purpose, as well as when you're doing case initiation. because case initiation, right, is asking all of those questions, and we want to save you that time if there's reusable information. I'm actually going to show you that in just a moment. And, you know, they probably don't like me saying this, but it wouldn't hurt for you to reach out to the Maricopa clerk's office and say, we really want to be able to provide more than one document at a time into an existing case. Just saying. Oh God, it's on the recording, but oh well. E-service, there you go. I'm not going to go into more detail about it. Take a look at the e-service training. It's awesome. I don't mean the training, I mean the functionality. Otherwise, you would just click submit if you're just filing, and like I said, make your payment if there is one. Thanks. So there you go, filing into an existing case. Now, there are lots of differences and variations when you're filing into an existing case for the other counties, PEMA and the All Other Counties group. I'm not covering that here because we're really focusing more on Maricopa. That previous training that I alluded to earlier for you to look at the e-service training, that is also a subsequent filing training where I cover lots and lots of information. That's why it's a 2-hour and 15-minute training. So if you really want to delve into, if you're going to be filing across the state, you may want to take a look at that training. There are lots of variations. And again, rule of thumb, just follow along with what's presented to you on screen for whatever jurisdiction you're filing into, and it'll walk you through whatever their requirements are and so forth. Let me cut through and go to the last 3 pieces of functionality. First, very quickly, searching for your filings and managing your workload in AZTurboCourt. Those shortcuts that I just mentioned about making filings faster, and then the financial information. Okay, so let me just go back to the home screen for a moment. There's different ways of accessing this search screen. There's one main search screen for accessing all of your filings. Here on the home page, your 5 most recent filings. You'll see this word filings is a link. If you click on that, it will take you to this search screen. In your user menu, you'll see a link called My Forms. And again, we use these terms synonymously. My Forms, My Form Sets, My Filings are all one and the same thing. That will also take you to the search screen. When you are, let's see if I can get to the end here. No, that's a brand new one. That won't work. Let me just show you. This one will work. When you are here, you will see a List My Forms toolbar button. That takes you to the search screen. In fact, let me click on that one right now. Okay, it's all the same search screen. When you first come here, you're going to see it has a date already in here. Let's see if I got the right date in there. Yeah, it's going to show you a date. It's 30 days from whatever today's current date is. So anytime you first come to the search screen, we're going to show you 30 days worth of your filings. Whatever case type, whatever jurisdiction, whatever status, these are the filings, these are the form sets you've been working on for the last 30 days, right? So that's super helpful. By default, these are sorted on the form set number. The highest form set, most recent form set number is at the top. Each one of these rows is a unique filing. They may be on the same case, but they're separate filings. Okay, and if you want to look at or work on any of these filings, you just click on that form set number. You can reorder this list any way you want. If you want to sort it by the keyword matter number, you can do that. If you want to sort it on the case number, you can do that. Okay. Here are all the fields that you can use to find your filings and filter them. Super, super helpful. I want to see everything we did on behalf of my client A-23456. Whoops. I really don't remember what date range I should put in here, but let's just try this one. For the entire year of 2017. Okay, that worked. Cool. I did 23 filings for that client in 2017, right? Or maybe that's a case ID system. What did we file on that case, right? So these are my filings that I created. And just so you know, if you are a filing administrator, you can do this across your entire firm. Not just show me Stephen's filings, show me everybody's filings for this client, you know, for this time period or whatever, or for, you know, this client and this case, right? Whatever combination of fields you want to use. This is a super powerful useful tool to use. Actually, let's just keep it there for now. I can use this as for demonstration purposes. And well, actually, I just want to see what we filed for them in PIMA during that time frame. So I've got 23 filings right now. Really have no idea what's going to come up. Oh, they were all in PIMA. Okay, that's not particularly exciting. But you get the idea. Show me what we did for them in Maricopa. Show me what we did for this client in Yuma, right? You can do that. The other thing that is super helpful, and now I'm going to change these settings, is you can search based on the case name that we give it. You don't even have to know the full case name. Gleason, it was something to do with Gleason. Right? I didn't put any other fields, but apparently I've got, wow, 24 filings on the Gleason case. Okay, then great. If you have a specific form set number that you want to look at, you can do that. A case number, all the filings for that case number, these different date ranges. If you start using AZTurboCourt for different case types, not just general civil, but you're doing family, right? You can say, well, I need to find my family filings, right? That sort of thing. And then status, super, super helpful. This is for managing your workload. So let me just change this to a different date range. That didn't work. Okay, so I've got 12 filings here. I've got different statuses. There are many, many statuses in AZTurboCourt. Most of these are not relevant to you. The ones that are the ones that I've spoken about. I completed the interview. I successfully delivered my filing. The court has accepted it, and it's now e-filed. These are the three most common ones you're working with. If you got partway through that case initiation interview and you didn't finish it, it's in progress, okay? If for some reason the court rejects that filing, you're going to find a rejected filing. Okay, everything else I don't think is relevant to you. So I need to find all of my recently completed filings that I need to attach my documents that I've been working on for. I don't remember the case number or the form set number, so just show me my recent completed filings. Like, yep, there it is. That's the one. Great. Let me go into it. And yeah, there's the complaint that I was just spent the last 2 days finishing up. Let me go ahead and attach it, right? And my supporting documents. Let me go ahead and attach it. Okay. So go back to list my forms. It always remembers where you last left off. So completed is going to help you manage your workload and what else you have to do, right? I haven't submitted yet, so what else do I have to work on? Maybe add the keyword matter number, maybe add some more documents, whatever that might be. Delivered. Maybe you're super busy, lots of filings, and hey, do I have any filings outstanding that the court hasn't processed yet? So search for your delivered filings, and you'll see if you're still waiting on the court for certain filings. That's very helpful. And then very important, e-filed, because if you remember, anytime you go into an e-filed filing, that's when you're going to get access to the View Court Case Documents button, right? So you can just put in the case number, put in status e-filed, just grab any of the cases that have already been status e-filed for that case number, sorry, any of the filings for that case number, and you'll get access to the View Court Case Documents button, okay? So that's searching for your filings and some of the different ways you can use it. Now, let's talk about shortcuts and how to, basically how to use an existing filing to create a new filing very quickly. Two different scenarios, case initiation or filing into an existing case. I'm going to actually start with the case initiating filing and then very quickly show you how to do this for filing into an existing case. So let's imagine a scenario where this is not necessarily going to be relevant to the business that you folks do, but just imagine this scenario that I'm explaining and think about how you might use this in the work that you do. Case initiation filings ask more questions. So if I'm doing another case initiation filing that is somehow very similar to a previous one, I want to just reuse all that information. I don't want to have to re-enter it again, right? So the whole point is, how can I just reuse it? So let's say I have a client who's a very large construction company. They've been working on a huge project. It's been going on for 18 months. They're, creating hundreds of housing units. They're working with lots of subcontractors. Those subcontractors have been royally screwing up. And my client now needs to sue several of them in the Superior Court, right? You've got the roofing contractor, you've got the electrical subcontractor, you've got the landscaper, right? You got the company that did all the windows for the place, and they're all messing up, right? I've got to create 4 or 5 initiating filings. I don't want to do each one of those from scratch. I don't have to. So let me show you how you would do something like that. Okay, so here's a filing. This happens to be Maricopa again. This is Anderson Construction versus the roofing company, Thompson Roofing. Current status is completed. It could be completed, it can be delivered, it could be e-filed. I just need to make sure it's completed or further along, because what I want is the completed interview, right? So I simply go to that filing. There it is, it's ready to go. And I don't have to have attached my documents. It has nothing to do with the attachments. It has to do with the interview questions. So again, completed, delivered, or e-filed. So I go into this filing, and you'll see another toolbar button. This one's called Copy for New Form Set. When you click on that, now this explains everything, but you really don't even need to read this. Simply click Submit, click Complete Your Filing, and we already know where you're filing. We know you're starting a new case. We already know who the attorneys are. We already know who the plaintiffs are. So I'm going to just skip all that. I'm simply going to jump into the defendant section and say, well, now we're going to go after the electrical company. And again, obviously a different address, right? So you put in that address. Okay. There you go. Change the name of the defendant. In this section, in all likelihood, the only thing you're going to be changing is if you put a dollar amount in here, right? That'll be different. And perhaps the tier will be different because of the dollar amount. But it's still a construction project. It's the category is the same. Whether it's subject to compulsory arbitration or not, that's going to be the same in all likelihood. The document, it's going to be a complaint again. Emergency order answer, that's going to be the same, right? So there's really nothing else I'm likely to change. So I simply copy my previous filing, change the name and address of the defendant, go to my tier level, click Save, go to Preview, and AZTurboCourt generates an entirely new filing for you. New form set number, new documents, ready for you to attach your complaint and other supporting documents. It is really fast and helpful. So again, that's one scenario. But so imagine your scenario, like when you're filing on behalf of the same client over and over again, new cases, you definitely want to do this. Or if the nature of the case, like lots of different, perhaps lots of different plaintiffs, but the nature of the case is the same. Grab one of those and just change who the plaintiff is, but the rest of the details of the case are nearly the same, right? Think about how you can reuse that initiating filing for future filings, okay? Now, you can also do this for subsequent filings, and for the person who asked about for Maricopa in particular, because it's only one document at a time. So yes, let me go to list my forms. I'm going to bring up another filing. I think this will be a Maricopa filing. Let's see. Yeah, good. Here's a Maricopa filing delivered. So do the same thing. Find an existing Maricopa filing for that case number, whatever that case number is. Click Copy for New Form Set. A couple of clicks here, submit and complete your filing. Now you're going to go through those next couple of screens, but there's nothing that you actually need to click. I mean, you don't need to fill in this information, right? The case number, all of it, it's all there for you. So you just do click, 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 jump into this section, and you say, now I need to file, last time I filed a motion, now I need to file a notice. Next, and that's it. Brand new filing, ready to go, attach your notice. And when you're done, or even before, at this point, I can just leave it like this and do it again. I can say, well, there's my notice. Now let me do that again. because I need to file another motion. And again, because it's one at a time in Maricopa, this will be the fastest way for you to do it. So I think it's about 5 clicks. There we go. I'm going to file an affidavit this time. It's ready to go. So I could do this ahead of time. I could just like preset all these up. I got a couple of motions, I got an affidavit, I got a notice, all for that case. Boom, boom, boom. They're all ready to go. And then when I get my documents all ready, I just go into each one of these filings one at a time, attach it, and submit it. Okay. So yes, I know a bit of a pain to have to do one at a time, but again, we don't have any say over that for Maricopa. So that's how you can reuse an existing filing. All right, so last thing, and then I'm going to wrap, is payments. How to get reports about how much money you're spending on a case, how much money you're spending for a client, things like that. How much money you've put on a credit card recently, you know, are we about to go over limit on it, that type of thing. So here I am on my home page. What you will see in your user menu is 2 different links that are going to be pertinent here, My Payments and Payment Methods. So first, I'm going to click on My Payments. This is just another search screen, but this time it's pertaining to your filings from the financial perspective. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in a date range here where I know I'm going to find some filings. But you'll see, again, I can say for this particular client or for this particular case number. Right? You can look for your filings in different ways. So for this particular date range, there are 22 filings that I've done. From the financial perspective. And there's another question here. I just want to take a quick look. Okay, good question or comment. This has to do with reusing the form set when you are doing, okay, I see. So reusing the form set and making sure you indicate whether or not you've paid your initial fee. That's one of the questions. So, right, so for when you're doing filing into an existing case. Good point. So when you're filing into an existing case, I was asked, have you paid your fee? And because my very first time filing, I said no, right? That was my answer, and I got charged, right? But the next time I go to file into that case, of course, the answer would be yes. But if I'm using the filing, my very first filing where I said, no, I haven't paid the fee, then that gets copied from the interview, right? And it's going to keep saying, hey, pay your appearance fee, which obviously I don't want to be doing. So yeah, good point. So you want to reuse a filing where you answered, yes, we've already paid our appearance fee, and use that one to copy going forward so that you don't have to keep changing that answer. So very, very astute. Thank you for that. It takes a village. All right, so here we go. We've got a whole lot of transactions. Again, each one of these is a unique filing. Again, they may be on the same case, but they are unique filings. This one is sorted based on the transaction date and time because we're looking at this from the money perspective, so the most recent transaction date and time. But again, I can resort this based on the case number, that keyword matter number. If I scroll over to the right, what you're going to see is the financial information for that particular payment information, I should say, for that particular filing. You will also see a new column that we didn't see in that other search list, which is the payment account nickname. Did you use a saved payment method for this particular submission? If you did not, it will be empty here, right? I just manually typed in my credit card or manually typed in my checking account. So there's no saved payment method. But if you did use a saved payment method, we will show you which one you used and you can resort it based on that, okay? You can also click on the transaction number here. This is what you get from MCOSC. And once again, that's another way you can access this payment details, payment receipt, okay? Whatever list you generate here, you can export it to Excel. So show me everything we paid in fees for this client in 2017. So first I'm just going to search for it. All right, we did 17 filings, lots of mid-first bank filings, some Ralph Gleason filings we paid for, and this Lamex case, apparently we had a filing in that one. Great. Click Generate Excel Report. You'll now get an Excel file, and now you've got the full functionality of spreadsheet software. Of course, you can open this in Google Sheets, right? Standard Excel file format. Resort it based on the customer, the case number, right? Add them up per case, whatever, you know, subtotals you need to do. You've got all of that functionality now available to you. And there you go. So that is ways of accessing your payment information for your filings. Super powerful. You can get ad hoc information about your payment information. Again, just a note from the administrative perspective. If you are a financial administrator, if somebody has given you the designation of financial administrator in AZTurboCourt for your firm, not only can you see this financial information for your filings, like I'm the attorney or I'm the assistant and I've got my filings, I'm seeing only, of course, my filings and the payment information for my filings. Financial administrator has access to all of the filings across the entire firm, right? So again, multiple attorneys or assistants filing on a particular case, the financial administrator can grab all of those all in one report, or for a particular client, that sort of thing. Okay, so just again, a little heads up about the administrative roles. Okay, let's take a look at this one question because this is important. Person has said, I've generated, oh, you all can see these questions anyway. I just realized they're to everybody. Okay, so yeah, you generated the Excel report for the filings and fees. The only issue you have is that it would only give the info for that filing attorney. Sometimes to file a document under another attorney in the same case. Right. Okay, got it. So that's the distinction between. Okay, there's different ways of doing this, and this really has more to do with your firm and what sort of access they want to give you. So if they want to give you the financial administrator role, then you can do it. You can grab all of the filings for anybody, and you can say, I want to grab it for this attorney or for that attorney, for all the attorneys. You'll have access to everybody's. If for whatever the reasons they do not want to have you be in that financial administrator role, then my question then is, are you logging in separately for one attorney versus the other? Because if you are, then you'd have to do that for each of them, right? You'd have to log in as one and get the report from them and then log in for the other. Again, there's security issues here. We need to be really careful about not giving people access to things that they shouldn't have access to. So kind of depends on how it's configured in your firm and how the account is set up and how you're doing things. So I can't give you, there's nothing, can't give you a further answer to that. Great, thanks. Okay, so payment reports. So here's ad hoc financial reports in all sorts of ways. And if we scroll over to the upper right corner on this very same screen, the My Payments screen, you'll see a button, Toolbar button, Preferences for Reports. When you click on that, it will show you that you can have AZTurboCourt automatically email you your financial reports, weekly, monthly, or bi-monthly. Or you can say, I want them weekly and monthly. And then you simply choose your default sort order, and we will email you the Excel report for all of your filings for that particular period of time, weekly, monthly, bi-monthly. Bi-monthly, by the way, is the 1st and 16th of each month. This is the way we do that. There's another question here. If you don't ask it to be emailed, does the Excel report show on screen? So let me just cancel this for a second. So when you're here, you have two options. You can say search, which will just bring up the view this way, or you can say, go ahead and, based on my criteria, go ahead and generate the report, and we'll bring up the Excel report, and you can now save that to you know, wherever you need to save it to. Okay, so you can control really any sort of subset of financial data, and then say generate an Excel report. This report is it's not a subset. It's basically show me everything I filed this, you know, this past week or for this month, right? And then it's in Excel, so then you can group it and subsort it based on case or client or whatever it is you need to do. And so if I click save, then from that moment on, AZTurboCourt will start emailing me my financial reports however frequently I ask them for. And you can at any point in time come back here and change these settings. But what that's going to look like, something like this. This is an old version that I have, but it'll look something like this. If you ask for a weekly report, you're going to get an email. It'll say something like it's a weekly report. It'll show you the date range of the week that you are the report is for. It'll show you the total dollar amount that was paid during that period, and then the Excel file is attached. And again, you can open it in Excel or Google Sheets or whatever you use for your spreadsheet software. If it was a monthly report, same thing. It'll show you the date range, dollar amount, and that it's attached. Okay, so it's another nice feature. Okay, I think we've made it to the end here. Yeah, that was everything I wanted to cover. So if you have other questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat right now. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for using AZTurboCourt. Thank you for being an AZTurboCourt customer. We really appreciate your using AZTurboCourt. And we do love getting your suggestions and things that would make life better for you in your world of e-filing. So you can reach us, customer service at turbocourt.com, not for tech support, but to let us know other functionality that you would love to have, and we can then pass that on to Arizona. If it's Arizona driven or if it's functionality that we ourselves generate, we will look at that. But we're very, very happy to respond to those things. And with that, I am going to wish you all, that you're very, very welcome. I'm going to wish you all a good rest of your afternoon, and happy filing. Okay, take good care. Stay safe. Bye.